Hey everybody, this is Michael from Eagle's Nest. I have a returning winner today, KFizzPop from the UK, winning Eagle's Nest again with Toho Braves. How you doing, KFizzPop?
Not too bad. It's 4:20 a.m. and I'm tired. Let's do this.
Fair, fair. So, TB, you got an update with BT26, and of course today was
Mhm.
the BT26 tournament at Eagle's Nest. I can see a few new cards here. Do you want to go over what those new cards are and what you think of them?
Sure, let's go over the cards that I've included that I think are good for the deck going forward. So we'll start with Kote. Kote is replacing our DP Inherit from Cyclone. So before, when we were running Cyclone, we had Wanko and Cyclone as two different names with plus 2k DP as an Inherit. We don't have that anymore, so Kote is actually quite nice to replace since we're not missing out on gas too much. Um, there's a few scenarios where potentially if you get past a lot of memory, you can raise, give yourself piercing, go into Shishima, and then get the guaranteed swing in because of piercing,
Which
which is always hitting
rookie
security.
was that here?
I replaced gas, so
Uh,
two gas went down.
oh, this guy.
Yes. Because oftentimes TB's first goal, at least when I'm playing the deck, is to get the Shishima in raising before anything else. So I wasn't really using gas a lot, and sometimes it comes up and it's a blue source and it draws us a card if we have seven or less. So I've still kept one in the deck because I think it does come up sometimes,
Hmm.
but it is now a one of, two of which have been obviously replaced with the Kote because DP is DP.
Hmm.
You'll notice another thing going forward is we've dropped a Wanker and gone up to 4 Hani.
Oh,
We've also done the same with Kokeshi. Kokeshi's now at well, Kokeshi was at 4 before. Sorry, Kokeshi is still at 4. Shishima has also gone to 4.
is the
Uh,
reason for the cut on the Wenko because you have too much red?
no, the reason for the cut on the Wanko is to guarantee the draw trash inherit. So the new playstyle with TB is to get the 5 in raising as fast as possible with the draw trash inherit.
Hmm.
That's why we're on 4 Kaguya as well. So we get to raise Shishima, we draw trash, we want to trash Kunlun, and
Yeah.
then we hit security.
Hmm.
When we do, we evo into Kaguya, and Kaguya says play a 5 cost or lower puppet or Shambhala trait card from your trash. Kunlun is a 5 cost Shambhala trait card. So we get to play Kunlun, we get to trash one, draw two. We've not gone to end of turn yet because we've specifically not executed. Um, then we use end of attack on Shishima. We play Kokeshi. Kokeshi on play deletes a Digimon on our board. So we delete Kaguya. We do our normal Kaguya board stuff. We do our bottom deck, our flow into Fortitude, into play another, into. We have big board. We've kept turn and we still have Kunlun. So at this point, you can do something small like play a rookie or search more to pass turn. And then Kunlun at end of turn, if we have a level 6, lets us use an option which allows us to use Genji Continent or a rival. Genji Continent with Kunlun is very, very strong. There are a few things you can do with this. If you have one in security already, and you've got one in hand, Kunlun starts to become this infinite cycle of switch the Genji continents around, play something reduced by 3. Switch the Genji continents around, play something reduced by 3. You can use it to end of turn play Kokeshi if you were passing memory over and didn't find it earlier. You can use it to play your 5s for a cost of 2. It's like you can play Karakuru with Assembly for 2 at the end of your turn. With setting up a rival, etc., like slamming down a 5 and going, I'm going to stun something, lock something down, and it floats. Also, it only costs me 2 memory, is diabolical. It feels like a war crime. um, just very, very nice to do. But Kunlun also lets us, for example, with the Kaguya play we did, we've cycled a good 10 to 12 cards. If we probably have an arrival or two, we could always play a rival to pass turn over, then use Kunlun to play another arrival, and at that point we've stacked 2 of them. And if our opponent attempts to remove our 6, I mean, we've cycled 12 cards, we probably have 2 level 6s in hand. It becomes this horrible snowball effect that's really hard to deal with because your one Kaguya on board can turn into any two level sixes you so want. Um, which is why the engine now has focused on 4 Hani, 4 Kokeshi, 4 Shishima, and 4 Kaguya. Once you get that cycle going, it's nearly impossible to stop snowballing, and having that line of play as consistent as possible is really, really good, really nice. Um,
All right, then you know, that
Meneki.
yeah, that was basically a how to win by Fizz. But let's keep going over the new cards from BT26. So we have Menekimon. So
I
this card's
like.
cool. You get the play stuff reduced.
Yes, so I like and dislike Maneki. There's a few funny things you can do with it. In a world where your only five in hand is Chimera, you can raise player Kokeshi for 2, DNA, and then skip into your 6 that way. That's kind of funny. You can cheat an arrival out on a later turn, but I found the reason it's a 2, I never raised Maneki and used its effect without feeling like I was missing out. I'd much rather have the 5 in raising ready to go as fast as possible. I do not want to stall so I can get value from Maneki.
Hmm.
Maneki can be played later off of effects like Karakuru, Marine Ball, Dharma, or Kaguya, so we can always play it out. If it stays on field, use it on a later turn to play something else for reduced. So it's a follow-up play more than a initial play like you'd see in something like SW, where they're wanting to do it first before anything else. Which is why it's at 2. And Shell 1 is still a very, very strong card. Being able to source strip things is disgusting, especially with the stun and the fact it's a blocker on face. Um,
Okay.
Next, the other important thing about Maneki, the minus 2k inherit. Honestly, disgusting. I'm really happy that TB got a minus 2k inherit. I don't think other people are. But that 18k range on Susan, where your opponent had a 20k body and you were forced to throw it at security, is no longer the case. Because on the swing, we can choose to give something minus 2k first, so their 20k bodies are always hitting 0 DP. With things like Minerva, what else goes? Volcanus, and a few other bits and pieces. Being able to do that extra minus 2k can give us some wiggle room so we're not throwing things to security we didn't want to. Um, and I mean, what's not to love? More DP minus on a thing that already gives minus 18, hitting higher thresholds is just great. It's also 2 color. That's great. There's so many reasons to like this card. And you're gonna find it, like I mentioned with the cycle engine. It's why we're running lower counts on a lot of things. Like Karakuru is now at 2, and then we go to Dharma, which is on 1. Dharma is a weird card for me. I think it's rare that you're getting the on deletion unless you intentionally do it during your turn. I think there's too much alternative removal in the format currently. But the having another level 5 inherit that you can stack onto Susan to spit out even more bodies, um, really nice. Being able to add cards back if we do get the on deletion by some miracle, again, very nice. And the fact it's from hand can be a bit awkward, but I think in certain situations against decks like Chronomon and stuff, it does feel a bit better. Gives us a bit more flexibility if we want to. We don't have the thing in trash, but we've got it in hand, or we want to set something up from hand to go to trash. Bit more freedom in that. It means we're not emptying our trash as much. The deletion kind of okay. It's just delete a 7k, right? It's not the worst thing. It's not the best thing. That's just good. Um, Next we'll notice
Uh,
that we've gone.
well, we could talk
Yes,
about the
yeah.
Chimera or the Kunlun or like how the animations
Chimera.
impact you.
Oh, I love Chimera so much.
Hmm.
Chimera feels even better now that we're doing the plays we are, where we're stacking things like Arrival as much as possible with Kunlun. We have more opportunities to spit out 2 or 3 bodies that are level 4, and Chimera can turn 1 Kaguya into 2 Kaguyas, and suddenly your opponent's chances of winning are looking very, very dire. It's playing into that snowball. Um, I have had so many games where Chimera gives me lethal, and I never need to Susan, or I save Susan because in case something goes wrong, in case I hit like a recover one or something, then Chimera is just nice in general.
Hmm.
That and its secondary effect, where it's minus DP to four different bodies. Against the mirror, came up so much. Your opponent makes the Kaguya board. You DNA, you will almost always have five colors underneath. Or sorry, a total of five colors. You'll have white, your two level fours, which are let's assume they're two different colors, and then an extra color, if not two colors from the five, and that is by default minus 4k on four things, potentially minus 5 to 6k on four things, and against a mirror match where they've spit out three bodies with Kaguya, their board is suddenly gone, and you've not had to interact with Kaguya yet, so you can safely go into stunning it or locking it so you don't have to interact with a rival. Um,
Okay.
there's also some shenanigans you can do with it with Shishima. If you have a Shishima on board and a Chimera, there are a few ways to do that. The Chimera hits security. The Shishima can Evo into Ryugu for one, and then the Ryugu can unsuspend one of your Digimon by tucking a card. So Ryugu can suddenly make um, Chimera do two checks, which can just be lethal on its own. Um, that and Chimera being able to talk out one of the level 5 inherits, like the Shishima from Trash, just to play out even more bodies to cycle further and further. Again, it's exactly what the deck loves. You're already stacking draw inherits, you're already stacking more search, you're already stacking the play out more bodies. Like, what's not to love? Um,
Kunlun?
Kunlun.
We already talked about Kunlun a bit. You said there was a
A
combo
little
with
bit.
the Genshi continent.
Yes. So another fun thing, uh, people seem to be very upset about Kunlun, and people are upset about losing analog. I think Kunlun is downright a better card. Being able to weave in options on your like combo turns constantly over and over becomes, as I said, this overwhelming snowball. And the more arrivals and Genji continents you get to play, the better the position you're in. And after a certain point, it becomes next to impossible to interact with your board without just destroying your own board in return. Um, the other thing is the unconditional gain one. Analog Youth requires something to die with a source to gain a memory. We're normally using it on Susan. Kunlun is always going to gain you a memory, no matter what. Once you get two or three, the game just snowballs. Your opponent puts you to three. Actually, it's five memory. That's enough to do something. And I did this in one of my games. Assemble out one of the level fives. Evo into Kaguya. Kaguya play Kokeshi. Delete, float, play out another Kunlun if you really want. Move to end of turn, use the Kunluns to play our rivals, and you from five memory after having your board wiped for whatever reason. Suddenly you're in a position where you have a Kaguya board again with a rival, everything set up, and your opponent's back to the position of I can't interact anymore because if I do, I potentially lose my board. And being able to continuously get to that position is what TB wants to do now.
Mhm.
It's snowballing and creating this really hard to interact with board state that just makes your opponent want to not touch the board.
Okay, then
It's
question about analog. If
yes.
let's say you really didn't like this card, but you wanted to play TV, what might you cut if you were to cut the analog to zero, what would you
Mhm.
play in its as like one more copy of or like a one up in
Um,
the deck?
I think you could. There's a few choices. You could go one more Chimera, you could go one more Kunlun, or you could be cheeky and run one Crimson Blaze. Since we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 14 different red sources, not including Susan, which puts us to 17. Crimson is just a nice card. It can help with the mirror. It can help with Sarah's Barkus. Um, I mean, there's a lot of places in the format currently where Crimson Blaze does come up, and it does matter a lot.
Yeah.
But I still think Analog Youth just provides a lot of tempo. Um, the ideal world is where you play your Analog Youth early before you Kaguya, and it trashes Kunlun, and you just smile, right? Because your next turn is going into
Yeah.
Kaguya. You don't even need to worry about whether you have draw trash in the stack because Kunlun's already there thanks to Analog.
Yeah. It makes sense. Okay, and you recently joined a team, is that right? Did you want to make any shout outs?
I'm hoping I might be joining a team, but that's all in the works. We'll see, we'll see.
All right. Thank you again, Fizz, for playing at Eagle's Nest and doing the interview here.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations on your first place. Go ahead.
I do want to give a shout out to the TB deck builders thread in the 2020 DCGO, in the 2020 Digimon server. They've all been great people. It's been really cool finding out what everyone else thinks about the deck. Um, I think we can safely say now though that Kunlun is not a bad card and is a very, very strong snowball piece in the deck.
All right. Thanks, Fizz, and have a great
Oh
rest of your night or early morning.
yeah. You too, Chief.